Alright, first game of the brand new full power Fenriloogamon Takemikazuchi gameplay right here. We're facing off against Rapidmon X, Terriermon, Mega Gargomon, and such. Now, we are going second. This deck can actually go first or second, and there's actually potentially a very insane turn 2 combo that you can just OTK your opponents out of nowhere. And the whole idea now is there's still a lot of great OTK elements, just like how it was before. The whole idea is to just one-shot your opponents out of nowhere, come up with a big stack. But instead of going wide, you're just actually alliancing, and how you used to go with the older Fenrir, you're just trying to build one single stack, which kind of reminds you kind of like Melgar, but better and a little bit more consistent in terms of actually just wiping out your opponent's security and board all at the same time. Now, when it comes to what we want to see in our hand, we want to see setup pieces. We really want to see Loogamon, the old one, which is always great because it lets us slide in a AG or Cracker Fang underneath it at the start of main to gain a memory, and establishing the new Cracker Fang, it's basically our memory setter. So what we want to do is, of course, draw, cycle, thin route through the deck, and trash things as we go. So at this moment, I see a Terriermon to go out. It only makes sense to go into Hellugar. That's a really good typical combo play to always go for as per usual, because it gives us a little bit of recursion. It lets us trash and set up pieces in there for later combos, and then we get to attack if we can, but otherwise use its end of turn delete to draw cards and such, and grab a Loogamon back as well at the same time. So the whole idea is to do that very standard similar combo as we're very familiar with, but one of the new additions, I'm actually playing the Dorugamon and the Dex Dorugamon package as my main level 4s instead of the other Lugarmons instead. And I'll explain that in the deck profile, so make sure to stay tuned for that as it's coming real soon. If not, it's already out, so be sure to check that out as well. But yes, as we're continuing, we're just trying to gather the pieces so then we can go up our line 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we want to set up our our Kazuchimon in trash, and as well as Fenriloogamon Takemikazuchi in the trash as well, because we can get to play them back and we can DNA from the trash later on. So here we're in a great position. I'm chipping away with the Tyrannomon. I'm establishing as much as I can. Hard playing Tyrannomon is great. That's your main hard play target as your 4, so they can search and grab pieces, grabbing yourself an SOC and a Tamer as well, and then trashing a card from your hand. Any card as well, keep in mind. At this point, we're basically ready to go. We gathered everything we need, and we can climb up, push out as Luga, and then we're gonna actually finish them off entirely. And this is here the moment we notice they're trying to establish as many Rapidmons on the board as possible. And by doing so, they can threaten the Mega Gargomon Ace, which is a very crucial play around to stop us. Notice they do hard slap this Rapidmon and also has protection, but giving us a lot of memory isn't necessarily an int. Because even if they pass us to 1 memory, or we start at 3 anyways with Cracker Fang, we can go and do this entire combo, gain all of that back, and you guys will see. We're gonna go into Luga, push out, tuck in AG, gain a memory, go into Dorugamon here, and trash a card and draw a card. We get to taunt something, but it just doesn't matter. We get to taunt just in case, but we're actually gonna finish the game right here, right now. Make sure to trash the card that you intend to digivolve into always, which is why I was debating to trash either like a Dex Lugar if I need to get into it, or if I need to swing, or actually just trash the Soul Lugar so I can digivolve right into it, utilizing Baumon's Inheritable to climb up non-stop back to back, because it is not once per turn. And then when we go to Soul Lugar, we get to trash 2 of any cards. Make sure to trash the Fenrilooga, because that's the one that we're going to digivolve into, and then trashing away the Kazuchi, which we never need in our hand. It's basically a dead card. We want it in trash instead, and then get to play something back, which is our Tyrannomon. Continue the search, which is going to be our alliance buddy target to go for extra checks, and then we're going to gain a bit of memory back as well, and then using Baumon's Inheritable once again to go into Fenrilooga. Fenrilooga is going to play out Kazuchi from the trash specifically for free, and afterwards we can pop a Digimon that is, I believe, either 10k, yeah, 10k or below. We're gonna pop the Rapidmon. By popping the Rapidmon, they're gonna Armor Purge back into Terrier X, which is fine. We're gonna get rid of Rapidmons because we need to play around the Mega Gargomon Ace. The Terriermon on the board doesn't matter to me whatsoever. Now we're gonna continue resolving all our effects. Even if the memory gauge passes all the way to the 10, we're still resolving our effects. We're still the turn player, because now we can utilize the trash of Takemikazuchi to DNA and go into this, and then we'll DP reduce that Rapidmon on the far right to play around the protection. Now we're gonna alliance, go for the combo, we're gonna set the memory back to 3 and gain 1, and then we get to keep our turn just like that and swing and finish it off. Alright, next game we're facing off against Imperial, which certainly has a couple of new cards to work with. They have the Primal Generator option card, as well as mainly Paladin Ace and a new Davis again, but let's see if the opponent plays it. Here we are going first, which is fine, like I mentioned, going first or second, as long as we see setup cards. That's what we're trying to want to see in our opening hand. Analog Youth is also a very good example, aside from Tyrannomon from last game. Both these cards, as well as Loogamon, just to Digivolve in the back, so then we can sort of basically cycle through the cards. Also, if you guys haven't done so yet, make sure to get your own copy of the Viral Invasion Playmat that we're using and playing today on the AVAULT store right now. More details are left in the description box and in the pinned comments down below, and I really appreciate the support. But back to the game, we're continuing to set up. Imperial is also a piece heavy reliant deck, which is very funny. So it's more about a race, I guess. It's like a race of who can get there faster and sort of set up the pieces. We need to set up pieces in trash. They need to gather pieces in their hand and then set up tamers on the board. And then either side is going to go unga bunga. As you guys can see from previous game, we can OTK out of nowhere like crazy. And they can also do the same back to us. Kind of not OTK, but kind of like do for aggressive swings and then control the board. And if we can't answer it, they can finish us off. So it's pretty much a race. It's pretty much like that. There's no control whatsoever aside from that. There's a lot of removal on both sides to a certain degree, but we're going to continue to, again, cycle through pieces, search for stuff, play Tyranno, grab stuff, be able to trash anything we want, setting up Dexdorga, in trash, throwing away as many Kazuchimons as we can, and also setting up the Takemikazuchi in trash at the same time. So going to Helllugar, here we get to draw, and then we get to trash cards as well, but mainly grabbing Loogamon back, but we don't really need to trash anything because there's nothing to delete on the board. Might as well keep it in the hand in case. And then here we're just trying to see how we want to end the turn. But I wanted to, like I said, toss away the Takemikazuchi, which is important as well. Then I proceed to choke them at 1 memory because I have Analog Youth. I didn't have to suspend both of them just because I could give them as little to work with as possible. But here we can see they're ready to go. They go for start of turn, Davis can. And then they can go for DNA and such, and basically Paladin attack. One of the key counters against us is actually preventing us from unsuspending with Paladin. And here is an absolute clutch play. They decide to give us a lot of memory, but they just hard slap Paladin Ace here, and it bottom decks our entire trash. With this, they have a really good setup. Keep in mind, guys, even though with that amount of memory from last game, it was great. It didn't matter. We get to go for the OTK and whatsoever. But even here with a ton of memory, with no cards in trash, we are just basically forced to set up all over again. One of the big mistakes and one of the key moments I learned from playing this matchup is to try to play around Paladin Ace. Paladin Ace can basically stop this entire deck, because here we have to answer the board, we have to do something. We haven't done anything to the security, but they chipped away basically 4 of us already, and next turn they're going for lethal. We have to find a way to dig ourselves out of this condition right here. So we're going to climb up either way. We're going to have to push out and see. Again, one of the biggest mistakes was tossing away Kazuchimon into trash and having too many of them. Actually, you guys can actually see there were 3 copies of it being all bottom decked. This is one of the matchups that you actually want to keep in mind to possibly keep an additional card and not to trash multiple of the same cards because of the Paladin Ace. Because by doing that, then at least we could have actually kept 1 Kazuchi in hand, we could have tossed it away, and then we might actually been able to go all the way up to the combo either way. But now we're going to continue to go into Dorga and then use it going into Dexdorga as well, just so that we can cycle and draw as much as we can. I'm deciding what to toss away here. I felt like I want to toss away the Takemikazuchi, which I need to set one up in the trash, but I felt like, you know what, I'm going to toss away the Fenrilooga instead, just because in case I'm able to find a way to actually hard Digivolve into Takemikazuchi instead. And then you guys can see I was really frazzled. I couldn't decide what I was going to do. I was thinking of tossing away the Helllugar, but in the end, just to clarify, I'm going to hard Digivolve into Helllugar. I still had to trash something off from the Dexdor in the end, which I'm just going to toss away the Fenrilooga in the end anyways, just because I have multiple copies of it in my hand, which I'm just going to hard the Evo into the one from my hand. So just so you guys know, just clarifying on what was going on the board there. Unfortunately, no Kazuchi. No Kazuchi means no DNA combo and so on. No Soul Lugar also means no continuing search. And we just end the board with double Fenrir. Both Fenrir's gonna trigger the effects. One's gonna pop the pail. The second one's gonna pop a partition target. Just to clarify, it is all turns once returned. So then we can actually, both of them trigger. So we can pop like a 10k with both of them. And then we get to gain a memory back as well with the Luga. But we can't attack. We can stand here with one blocker to potentially stop their attack, but it doesn't matter. Paladin mode Ace is actually just way too strong against this deck. They basically kind of have it essentially here because Paladin mode can unsuspend unless they run into a big body of ours. So they attack bottom deck our Fenrilooga and then get to unsuspend, and it's not even once per turn. We're thinking whether we want to block here or not. We don't have retail, we don't have anything to go against them. We can't really stop it, so the check goes through and they finish the game on us, unfortunately. Alright, here we are in this game. We're facing off against Fenriloogamon. Now, this generally is probably quite a tough matchup for Loogamon, just because they have a lot of protection and a lot of like gimmicky sort of like different effects to prevent us from removing their stack. They have blocker. Ragnarlord Ace is actually packed with as many effects just as we are, and they're really good at control compared to us. So we gotta be really worried about that. And of course, as always, if they have a level 6 on board, respect the Blast Ace of Ragnarlord coming in. Now, with our opening hand, we are starting first, and no, it doesn't look good at all. We don't see any other set of pieces, so we definitely went for the bowl again. Doesn't look the greatest either, so at least we have an analog youth to start off with. Now, I decided to pick up the Tyrannomon here and not the Loogamon, even though you guys might be thinking, oh yeah, grab the Luga so then we Digivolve from the back end and cycle for one more card. I feel like Tyrannomon is still just more of the value important card that you want to see in the early stages. I'm not worried about finding the rookie because I have a backup plan. My backup plan is to actually go for Hellugar, and Hellugar will draw me cards and it can grab me the Luga back from the trash instead. And instead then I get to play the Tyranno, put them down to 1 and search for pieces, grab stuff, and then trash once again Takemikazuchi in the trash. So we're setting up for the potential OTK and DNA and explosive turn combo. We got to be a little bit patient with Ragnarlord as well, because we can't just go ahead and attack like I mentioned earlier, because if we do it without thinking twice, we can get punished really hard. So this is a very heavy matchup knowledge and interaction knowledge when it comes to playing against it. So they got into their level 5, they have a Duramon, and then they basically play out the promo Zuba, being able to tuck it underneath the game memory back, and they can essentially raid into our Tyrannomon, which is gonna get rid of it. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Our start isn't looking the greatest, like you guys can see, and we're running into a little bit of issues, but just so you guys know, there's always ways to play around it. Not every single deck, and not even just this deck, is all about just digivolving up and finding your pieces and then going for it. It's totally fine. We're okay here. Just because we have a backup plan, like I mentioned, we're gonna have to go into Hellugar. If we can't digivolve it, we're gonna hard play it. Hard play it. And then that will be the way to go, because here, nothing is going to help and break our hand. We really need to draw. The priority is in order to access your pieces, is to draw as many cards as possible. So the more cards that you can play to draw cards, the better it is for ourselves. So here I gotta find a way to toss away some cards I kind of don't need to utilize. Honestly, I didn't have to toss away the Fenrilooga or the AG, but I did have to toss away at least two SOC related cards to delete their Duramon. And I can't trash away the Kazuchimon because it's not SOC related. So those are kind of like hard choices, but sometimes I think it's not too bad if we don't toss away the Kazuchi, just because if the opponent is playing smart, they're actually analyzing what's in our trash and making sure keeping a track of when we can get into it. By not having the Kazuchi in the trash or having the Takemikazuchi in the trash that early or right away can give them the benefit of the doubt a little way, or kind of like play mind games a little bit that maybe we don't have it just yet. Because if we do have it in the trash, it clearly just tells them we got it, and they gotta kind of gamble themselves and sort of play around it there. They go into Viral Invasion here, which is pretty good because this one kind of gives it like the protection, everything that Ragnarlord leads against this deck, especially with the inheritable. So that's going to be a tricky one that we have to be very, very wary of and play around. So of course, we're going to go into the Luga. I decided to actually pay the 1 memory cost because then I can choke them back at 1 by hard playing Cracker Fang and then just setting up as we can go. I pretty much have all the pieces we need to actually go for it. So we're just waiting for the right time and see what they do here. They're going to go for another Viral to tuck it underneath. And as we can see, they're probably trying to threaten for a Blast Ace. They're testing us. They're waiting for the opportunity for us to attack into them without thinking twice, and then they're going to blast into us and get rid of our entire stack. So we're going to go into it since everything is set up, but we're not going to play exactly into their hands. Now, normally the combo is actually you can go into Dorugamon to swing for the first check in order to enable the OTK. If Doruga would actually get removed, we have Dex Doru and Trash. If we do have it, we can actually go into Dex Doru and Trash to sort of prevent it from being deleted. Of being removed entirely, and then that will initially get our first check, and then we can get rid of the rest of the 4 cards with the full combo to actually swing out and OTK our opponent. But we're not going to do that because we know if we swing with the Doruga, even if we have Dex in there, they can go into Ragnar Ace and then everything's going to be over and they'll get rid of our stack. So instead, we're just going to go for the trash draw combos, making sure that we toss away once again the card that we intend to Digivolve into, which is Soul Lugar, off of the Doruga effect. And then by doing so, Soul Lugar can trash another 2 cards, and that one doesn't have any restriction, which is nice. And then we get to pop something. We don't pop anything. We have to play that Tyranno. Tyranno is going to search and also trash any other card. And then now by trashing, making sure we trash away a Fenrilooga with all those combos throughout, so then we can Digivolve into it with the Balmon Inheritable Egg. Really important for this entire combo. So now we can play Kazuchi. Being able to play Kazuchi, Fenrilooga is going to pop like a 10k or lower, which there isn't any, and then we can actually DNA into Takemikazuchi. And the one way to play around the whole protection that they have for now, for the time being, before attacking and feeding them into a Ragnarlord Ace, is the DP reduction from Takemikazuchi. With the DP reduction, they don't have any protection against that at the moment, so we can go for Alliance and go for those checks, set the memory to the opponent back to 3. Thanks to Fenrilooga Inheritable, it's going to maintain our turn unless if it's 3. And then we also get to gain 1 back from Takemikazuchi, putting it at 2. And then we get to unsuspend with Soul Lugar Inheritable and then gain 1 back. And that's kind of how this combo works. You guys can see we paid a lot of memory to go all the way up there, and it doesn't matter. We gain all that memory back. Not even gaining. We're setting and basically playing around that memory gauge and disrupting the flow of the memory gauge. We're basically going against rules here, kind of, because of this card, and it's just absolutely insane. And of course here I realize there's no way we can end it. We can surely go for another check and then like trash our own security, but we're trying to play smart. We don't want to give them any value. They might find like a memory setter tamer or something that searches them or something that grabs them pieces or whatnot, whatever it can be. Since I can't end the game, I think it makes more sense just to leave the Takemikazuchi upstanding. Since they only have a rookie in the back anyways, we can actually just stand here and stand tall and see what they can really do, because they can't really do too much. They can't really gain a memory back with Kakimon either, because they don't have any sources to grab back. And of course we have to pass them back to 3 perfectly just because of the end of turn condition of Fenrilooga's Inheritable. So we unmine Link out. We don't need to block. I felt like I just want to keep I just want to make sure I have the 3 memory to work with the next turn anyways, and I don't mind if they get rid of the Tyrannomon, because here we just have another one to play and we can think about it. They're actually testing us right here. We got to be careful, because what we don't want to do is actually swing and use Takemikazuchi's effect to trash our own security to trigger Pulsemon to DP reduce their Zubamon, which feels like it's a great target, right? Just get rid of the rookie, easy peasy. But keep in mind, they have the option at the back waiting for us. The Legend Arms option, if it gets removed, they can play out the level 6, and then when we try to attempt for the second attack, they can blast into Ragnarlord, which is not what we want. We need to perfectly find a way to cross over a little bit over 0 memory, because we need to unsuspend with Soul Lugarmon as well. So now, again, we're just gonna hard play the Tyranno, search, and then we're just gonna go for Alliance check, not using Takemikazuchi's effect again, once like I mentioned, double checks, and then we can unsuspend, and therefore we can secure the game. Don't forget to grab your very own copy of the Viral Invasion Playmat on the AVAULT store right now. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video, and this is AVAULT signing